I wouldn't say great. It's obviously great to be back, but just you come back for a short stint, you get injured again. You come back for a short stint, and then you're injured again. It's hard to find any rhythm in there, and with everything that was happening towards the end of the season, it's just big part of baseball is just having rhythm, especially in the batter's box. Your mechanics can be whatever you want them to be, but if you don't have the rhythm in the batter's box, sometimes it's tough to compete. And, so for me, it's still trying to find that rhythm.
Okay, we're going to go far right.
The game 2, you nailed the play in the bottom ninth, and that's not that easy play. Like, postseason has a different atmosphere, and how hard is it to stay calm and focus on the games?
It's really hard. Your heart's racing, especially in that atmosphere. We've talked about it a bunch among the guys, and you hear all throughout baseball that Philly in the postseason is one of the best environments that there is, and not a lot of us had ever been in a postseason series in Philly, and experiencing it firsthand, I can agree it is one of the best environments. And so in that moment, it's tough to kind of keep your heart rate low. And, thankfully we have a whole group of guys out there on the field that have just tons of experience. And, I was talking about it this morning, just for us to discuss that bunt play, you have, 3-4 guys in the infield, all 10 plus years. It was kind of just like, all right, guys, let's just take a breath. This is a big moment, but let's take a breath. Let's not let it get out of hand. Here's what we need to do. You talk about it, and it was kind of like, all right, we're just going to roll through it like, obviously it's not a spring training play, but we're just going to roll through it like we're running a drill. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but, thankfully for us, we were able to keep things kind of slow, and we executed it.
Okay, we're going to go with Kevin.
Hey, Max, thanks again for your time. You kind of suggested it a couple of times talking about the up and down seasons, regular seasons, but the last 10 or so regular seasons have all ended here with you guys in the playoffs, and you start to play really well in the playoffs. Is it almost like this is an extension of the regular season? This is where you guys start focusing? Because it kind of looks that way.
I don't know if that's the case. Obviously, every year in spring training, every team's going to show up with, a big speech about our goal this year is to win the World Series, blah, blah, blah. The reality of it is there's only a handful of teams that can actually say that as a realistic goal, and we're one of those every single year. And so for us, making the postseason is not something that you should ever take for granted, and we definitely don't. But we expect to be here, and once we get to this point, it's like it's just a whole nother level. And for a couple of years, we went through a stretch where we had a little trouble flipping the switch when we got to this point. We rolled through the regular season, and we just couldn't find a way to flip that switch at this point in the year. And so the last couple of years, I feel like we've found that way, and I think that's just what's carrying us.
Here we go, Bill.
Yeah, Max, what about Dodger Stadium gives you all such a home field advantage?
This place has an aura about it. It's the biggest capacity in baseball. Everyone talks about it when you come here. The lights seem a little brighter. The music seems a little louder, and that might actually be because it is a little bit louder. But and that's part of the perks of being at Dodger Stadium is we have that sound system, right? And it sounds silly to say something like a sound system can be an advantage, but it really is when those speakers in center field are cranking and the crowd is going absolutely nuts, and you feel the field shaking beneath your feet. That's a really big advantage, and that's something that we've always had here. When we have those big moments, there's arguably no place that can get louder than Dodger Stadium, especially in the postseason. When you have 56, 57,000 people screaming all at the same time in a big moment, it's pretty wild. And that's an advantage that we've always had here, and the guys love it. And like I said, we've heard other players all the time talk about how cool it is to come here and play, and it's just there's just something about this place where it always just seems a little different.
Okay, and straight back in the middle.
Max, you talked earlier about rhythm. What is your theory on momentum? Obviously, the Dodgers have it right now with the 9 straight wins, and how important is it, do you think, to try to end this thing tonight, to not relinquish that momentum?
Yeah, momentum's always something that you don't know if it's real or not. You definitely feel it, though, as a player. In certain situations, you feel the momentum change, and obviously we need to, we want to finish this tonight, and we don't want to let anything slip away from us. And that's one of those things where when you talk about momentum, if you don't finish it tonight, you feel like it's slipping away, and that's definitely not something that you want to have happen.
Okay, going to go far right, Bob.
Max, the other night, Bryce Harper was talking about this, how this used to be such a great pitcher's ballpark, Dodger Stadium. Now the ball carries much more than it ever has. Why is it that you think?
Yeah, I saw an article talking about that. I've played here for a long time, and I still don't know that I know numbers and statistics are going to say what they say. I still don't know that I fully believe in that. At nighttime, traditionally the ball doesn't travel as much here. The marine layer comes in, and it's not a big field overall, but the ball just doesn't travel. And because it's not a big field, there's not a lot of grass out there for balls to drop in. And so this has always been a tough place to hit. The one thing we have going for us is the infield's always traditionally very fast. We have short grass. It's hard. The ball flies through the infield a little bit. But, I mean, to answer your question, I guess Shohei. I don't know. I mean, there's not a park out there big enough to hold Shohei, and he's hitting 50-plus home runs a year, and a lot of those come here. So I don't know if that skews the numbers. But I still don't fully buy into that. This is a amazing hitter's park.
Anything else, Max? All right, we're good. All right, thanks, Max.